everybody, and welcome to The Other Side, and I'm Dr. Okun, for those of you watching for the first time. And I'm here with Tarra Jackson today, who's written a wonderful book on financial fornication. And it's really a book about how you go about dealing with your finances and the relationships, like we talk about relationships, about how we deal with people, but your money and your finances are a relationship and how we think of them. So we're really excited. Some of you we didn't get to come to Mondays we had. Tarra graciously came and spoke to some of our patients about her book and some of the relationships to finances that we have. And she's here to kind of recap what we went over this Monday. For those of you who missed, we thought it was really important that we were able to share this information with anybody that's interested, because it's really important and it really can make a big impact in your life. So I'm so thankful that Tarra was able to come here today and give us a little extra time to go over kind of what we went over, some of the things that we went over last Monday night. So can you share with people kind of like what was the inspiration for your book and where did that all start from, and so what are some of the really important tips that you can share with some folks?
Well, thank you for having me. We had an awesome time on Monday. And one of the things that I noticed before I wrote the book is that a lot of people are suffering in silence with financially abusive relationships. So they're in certain situations with financial institutions and they're dealing with high interest rates, high fees, and they don't know how to either have an exit strategy or how to deal with that. And then I had talked with a lot of people that are dealing with substantially tremendous debt, which I call financial STDs. And they needed to understand the cures that are dealt with that. And that became the basis of the book, and understanding that really financial relationship is just as important as a personal relationship, and they really intertwine with that. And how we deal with finances sometimes parallels to how we deal with personal relationships. So I needed to have a fun way to talk about finances, because talking about finances can be very boring at times. And so when we're talking about relationships, we like talking about relationships, how to improve relationships, what we're dealing with relationships, solutions for these type of relationships. Let's have the same type of conversation about our finances and credit. And so that's when I came up with the concept of the financial fornication for the book.
Okay, so what are some of the simple things that people, like you said, the finances are a relationship, and I think in our society, our generation is certainly a generation that is, buy it if you don't have the money, we'll pay for it later, and continue that behavior. So what are the simple techniques and things that people could do, and where do they kind of get themselves in trouble, and how can they slowly get themselves out of trouble?
One thing I did find when I was writing the book is that a lot of people don't date financially. It's very important to financially date. You should definitely see what other financial institutions have to offer, pretty much shopping the financial institutions. You need to understand what you want, what you don't want, what you need and what you don't need, what you'll tolerate and what you won't tolerate. And so when you understand that, you can actually financially date on purpose financial institutions so they can at least give you 80% of what you need within that. And a lot of times we just go straight to the commitment stage with financial institutions and find out the financial institution really wasn't quite what we thought it was going to be. But there's a process, and I talk about that in the book Financial Fornication, about the 5 phases of financial dating, to make sure that we're dating on purpose and that we have the best financial institution that caters to our needs and what we would like to have in a financial institution. But that's very important for people to shop around financial institutions. It's very important to identify where you are with your finances and credit, because if you're dealing with high credit, you might need to deal with some financial abstinence. Sometimes you just got to stop, because you don't want to get in a more abusive financial relationship. And we talk about some of those cures in financial fornication.
Wow. So there's someone, you say, well, obviously we have to date, so we go around shopping. We certainly shop for interest rates, for what are some of the loan processes as far as what are they offering us. So we can be in control. But I guess we can be in control if we have a decent credit score. So a lot of people, the credit score is an issue, so they're not quite as controlled. So what can they do to help raise their credit score?
Well, we talked about that on Monday night, about the anatomy of a credit score. And there is really 5 areas. And it's your payment history, which is 35%, your balances or your revolving balance is 30%, your length of history 15%, the types of credit 10%, and who looks at your credit 10%. But if you look at it, how you pay your bills and your balances on your revolving debt is 65% of your score. That's almost 2/3 of your score. So if you can pay on time and keep your balances low, that's going to help shoot your credit score up tremendously.
So paying on time and keeping them low, trying to pay as much as you can down makes a huge impact on your credit score.
Absolutely. And we've had some blemishes. A lot of people have colorful credit, and it's not the end of the world.
Colorful credit?
Colorful?
That's a nice way of saying not so good, not so good.
Yeah, a little challenge credit. And so there are certain things, because it could have happened because of furlough, hours cut, you got laid off, medical emergencies, or it could have been that we just had, behaviors that, some bad behaviors within that. So at some point you have to stop, and then you have to reset, and then you have to start moving again, because the older the bad debt is, the less impact it has on the score. But you have to be very careful on making your payments on time and trying to pay down those balances or keep your balances low.
Okay, so where would you start at? Like, one is, I guess you need to kind of find out where you are in that game. So how would you go about finding out where you are in that credit score? What would you say to do to that?
You definitely have to pull your credit report. You need to see where you are. And you need to pull it from all three credit reporting agencies, which is the Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And in Financial Fornication, I talk about how to get connected to those three credit reporting agencies. You can even go online and get access to them as well. But you have to pull your credit report so you can see where you are, because you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you are. And so once you see where you are, and I would say pay the smallest balance off. Once you pay that off, then you use that money to pay the next one. So you climb up the mountain instead of trying to get the big chunk and pay it down and leave the small ones alone.
I got you. So there's three. And is there a cost to get the credit scores?
Well, in the state of Georgia, you can get your credit reports 2 times a year from all three credit reporting agencies. And you can go to annualcreditreport.com or freecreditreport.com. There's several websites that will allow you to do that. But by law, you can have 2 credit reports at no cost from all three credit reporting agencies. So I would say utilize that as your credit checkup.
Right, so you're getting kind of physical every year. You can see where your credit, what's happening.
Absolutely. I recommend it at least every 6 months.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing with us. Again, the book is Financial Fornication, and it's written by Tarra Jackson, and she has a lot of great information. You only heard just a very, very small amount in the time we had today of all the great facts she gave us about of your finances and the relationship, the personal relationships that you really have. It's just like people have that relationship with money, and sometimes it's not the greatest relationship. Right. But also, can you tell our listeners where they could find your book? How can they get in touch with you? Because I understand you are also available to come and speak at various churches and other organizations to share this information. Can you kind of share that with our guests?
Absolutely. The book is on Amazon.com. It's also on Kindle. So you can go and search the books for Financial Fornication and purchase it online. You can also go to my website, www.tarrajackson.com, or www.financialfornication.com. And that way I have a contact me section where you can actually contact me for speaking engagements, for questions. I'm open to questions as well, so I'm excited.
Oh, fantastic. Tarra, I want to thank you again for coming out. We really enjoyed you.
Thank you.
And folks, I hope you guys learned something tonight. We'll be back next Monday for another episode of The Other Side. We thank you. We love you. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week.